Hey guys, so I'm coming to you from what's basically a mini vacation. This was planned before YouTube apocalypse hit, but I decided to take it despite YouTube apocalypse because, let's face it, no matter what, at least for a while, the videos that are put up on Secular Talk are making nothing. In fact, I made $1 yesterday in YouTube ad revenue. $1. There were about 435, I forget the exact number. There were well over 400,000 views on the channel yesterday, and we made $1. So we don't need to get into this now because there's bigger news to talk about, but Patreon is how we're funding the show. If you could spare $2 a month, it's now absolutely necessary because YouTube pulled the rug out from underneath us. Okay, putting that aside, and it's fucked up I even talked about that for 3 seconds given what I'm about to talk about now, but President Trump just attacked Syria. Yep, he attacked the Syrian government. He bombed an airbase. What I'm hearing, at least as of right now, and this news can roll in and it can change quickly, but apparently there were 50 Tomahawk missiles shot at a Syrian airbase. I cannot describe just how horrible this is. So they're using as a justification for this the gas attack that happened a few days ago, maybe about a week ago now. You know, some people may have been wondering, hey, Kyle, why didn't you cover that on the show? Look, to keep it real, I didn't cover it on the show because I didn't believe almost anything I read about it. It seemed far too convenient because Assad had basically won the war against the rebels. And the rebels were a shell of their former selves. And by the way, remember, according to a recent study, over 60% of the Syrian rebels are Islamists and jihadists. In fact, it's literal. They're, Al-Nusra changed their name because they were officially aligned with Al-Qaeda. They were Al-Qaeda's affiliate in the region. So the news that when Assad is winning the war, basically had already won the war, but now he's going to do a chemical attack on civilians on purpose. Why would he do that when he knows that the only consequence, the only reaction that could possibly happen as a result of that is the West decides, all right, fuck it, now we're going to attack him. So that seems pretty convenient that the guy who already basically won the war would now wage a gratuitous gas attack on civilians. So I didn't quite believe the stories, and we didn't have enough what I thought were concrete facts about it to discuss it. And what happened is the deep state within the U.S. government, the neocons, used this to do basically a Hail Mary pass and a full court press to say, oh, now we have to go in there and we have to get rid of him. By the way, here's an interesting little fact. I don't know how many people remember this, but what was it? 2 years ago now? Assad turned over his chemical weapons. He turned them over. Remember when John Kerry had the meeting with the Russian ambassador or diplomat or whatever, their equivalent of their Secretary of State, and the guy asked, hey, is there anything that Assad could do to have you not attack? Because at the time Obama had drawn his red line and Assad had supposedly crossed it, so the U.S. was, we're going to attack. And so the Russian government official said that, and Kerry said, I don't know, he could give up all of his chemical weapons, but if he were to do that, he's not going to do that anyway. He said something along those lines. And then Assad the next day was like, hey, here's all my chemical weapons. So the guy hands over his chemical weapons, but then when he basically already won the war is going to do a gratuitous attack on civilians with his chemical weapons. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. So, lo and behold, here we are a few days later, maybe a week later, and what's the result? The U.S. government just declared war on Syria. We just attacked Syria. I'm mad at everybody about this, okay? By the way, I thought Trump was Putin's bitch. I thought he was Putin's puppet. What happened? He just attacked Putin's ally in Syria. So are now all the corporate Democrats going to come out there and say we were wrong? Are you going to do that? You're not going to do that, are you? You know what they're all doing? They're all flipping and now pretending they were anti-war all along. Who the fuck are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Hillary Clinton was consistently hawkish on Syria, and all the corporate Democrats agreed with her. And now Donald Trump is doing that policy, and now you're flipping and pretending like you were against war the whole time. And look, Trump said when he was on the campaign trail that he wasn't going to be hawkish. He said when it came to Syria, hey, look, Assad's fighting ISIS. We don't like the guy, but he's fighting ISIS. What are we going to do? We're going to go in there and topple the guy and make the same mistake as we did in Iraq? Well, now that's exactly what they're doing. They're making the same mistake that they made in Iraq. You topple a government, authoritarian strongman, I'm not sure the guy's not a lovely guy. He's done horrible things, I'm sure of it. But when you topple an authoritarian strongman in a volatile region, when over 60% of the rebels are Islamists and jihadists, you're going to have Islamists and jihadists fill the vacuum. And Trump said on the campaign trail he wasn't going to go into Syria and topple the government. Now he's doing that. And by the way, this is a weird thing to say, but it's exactly what crossed my mind when I saw the story the other day. Steve Bannon was recently removed from the National Security Council. Now, a lot of people will look at that and they'll go, well, isn't that great? Steve Bannon, he's a bigot, he's an asshole. That's all true. Massive bigot, massive asshole. No doubt about that. But Steve Bannon is correct on a handful of issues. One of those issues is trade. He's much more protectionist. He doesn't want to do TPP and outsource all the jobs. The other issue is foreign policy, because he's much less interventionist. He's anti-neocon. So when he got kicked off the National Security Council, I thought, oh boy, because that means that the neocons are winning the deep state battle. They're winning the internal rift and the civil war within the Trump administration when it comes to foreign policy. And look, Trump is such an idiot, he gets moved by the last person in the room. I mean, this is what happened with Big Pharma. Remember, he used to rant against, they're getting away with murder. They're getting away with murder. That's the problem, these big pharma companies. We're going to let Medicare negotiate for better prices. And then he had one meeting with big pharma lobbyists. And what happened? He switched his position completely. Did a total 180. Said, oh, no, these big pharma companies is not a fair deal they're getting. We're not going to let Medicare, the government, rip off the pharmaceutical companies. One meeting is all it took, and he totally flipped his position. Same thing's happening on Syria. There's definitely neocons who have his ear and are saying, oh man, Assad is terrible. Assad's the worst. Assad's committing war crimes. Wouldn't it be great if we toppled him? Wouldn't it be great if we had a pro-US regime in there? Who cares if it's going to look like the Saudis and be a theocracy when now it's a secular socialist constitution? Who cares? Go in there and topple him anyway. Well, careful what you wish for. And again, I told you, all the Democrats go Russia, 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 Russia. Trump is Putin's bitch. Trump is Putin's little bitch. It's his puppet. He'll do whatever he wants. Well, what just happened? He attacked Vladimir Putin's ally. He's trying to topple the Syrian government. I told you the real Russia scandal is not that Trump is Putin's puppet. The real Russia scandal is what's going to happen when he decides to prove he isn't. And what happens if at those air bases where the Syrian fighter jets are, what if there just happen to be some Russian jets there? What about that? Did you ever think of that? What if we just struck Russian fighter jets? That's a World War III escalation, son. That's what that is. I'm telling you, man, people don't get how bad this is. And then there's the other aspect. There's a million aspects of this, but also, what rule of law, separation of powers? Remember that old thing? And we warned you when Bush did it and Obama continued it when they decided, hey, you know what? Every time we attack somewhere now, we're just gonna add it on to former prior declarations of war from the Bush War on Terror. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to do a drone war in Pakistan and Yemen and Somalia. We're not going to go to Congress to get a declaration of war for the specific countries like we're supposed to do under the Constitution. We're just going to go ahead and you know, put it in the same declaration of war that it explicitly was not for. So now one declaration of war to get Al-Qaeda after 9/11 became, okay, we're going to go into Afghanistan, but we're also going to go into Iraq, and then we're going to go into Libya, and then we're going to go into Syria, and then we're going to go into Pakistan and Yemen and Somalia. If we want to do some drone strikes in Mali, who the fuck is going to stop us? And guess what? This is just the new normal now. Now, there are no rule. A U.S. president can go anywhere and do anything. Trump increased drone strikes by 432%. You know, Obama, 90% of the time, got the wrong targets with drones. We warned you all along. You don't have a declaration of war for Yemen. Who the fuck? How are you bombing Yemen? How are you droning Yemen? That makes absolutely no sense. You're going to drone Yemen. Where's your declaration of war from Congress? We just tacked it onto the old one, and we don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Well, now you have a fucking somebody who's worse, who's an authoritarian, thin-skinned buffoon, who can be convinced by virtually anything, the last person in the room, and now he has his finger on the fucking nuclear button, and he's got an army. And he just decided to attack the Syrian government, which again, whatever you think of Assad, we're gonna do this. This is the same mistake as Iraq. Trump, who campaigned on, I'm not gonna make this mistake of Iraq. I wouldn't do that. He's making the exact same mistake. The exact same mistake, especially when we know it's a matter of record that most of the rebels are Islamists and jihadists. If you topple Assad, what do you think is going to happen? A flourishing democracy? Is that what we're going to have? Where, they're going to, all of a sudden, women are going to have all their rights and there's going to be equality around and, atheists and minorities. Oh, it's all going to be great. One person, one vote. We're going to have single payer health care. Get the fuck out of here. And who the fuck are we to go over there and do it? I love how we have two sides in a war that the U.S. government admits we don't like. Oh, we don't like the rebels because, yeah, some of them are too extremist. Oh, but obviously we don't like Assad. He's a bad dictator. We don't like either side. So obviously we need to get involved. That would be the perfect example of something you don't have to get involved in. Oh, this is bad, man. Look, this could be the start of World War III. It sounds like hyperbole. It's not. Because the dividing lines are super clear. They're as clear as ever, period. You have, on the U.S. side of it, you have Israel. You have Saudi Arabia. You have all the Gulf states. You have Europe. On the Syrian side of it, the Russian side of it, there you go. I already told you. You have Russia on that side, Syria on that side, Iran on that side. This is a world destabilizing event, and this is one of the main reasons we argued against Hillary Clinton so fervently. I mean, Trump, I knew he could be super duper hawkish. His rhetoric on Syria was less hawkish, though. Hillary kept saying, we got to take out Assad. I don't know what you're talking about. And we were saying, that's just so stupid for so many reasons. You're going to destabilize Syria, make it the next Iraq, make it an extremist playground, even worse than it is right now, and you're going to have the clear dividing lines for World War III because you just escalated with Russia. And now Trump comes in and does exactly that. And look, I hate everybody on this issue because, like I said, all the corporate Democrats are now going to turn around and pretend, we weren't for bombing Syria, even though that's exactly what we were for. That is exactly what you were for. We have the fucking tape. You cheering Hillary every time she talks about it. There is an alliance between the corporate Democrats and the neocons. And it's been strong until this point. But now all the corporate Democrats will flip on a dime and pretend like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was never on the side of the rebels. What rebels? What does rebel even mean? I never heard that word before in my life. I wasn't on the side of the Syrian rebels and wanting to take out Assad. Own it. Own it. All of you need to own your wrongness. Own it, own it, own it. Look, I told you from day one, man. I'm repeating myself now, but I feel like it needs to be repeated. Donald Trump, The real scandal with Russia was not, oh, he's Putin's bitch. The real scandal is what happens when he decides to prove he isn't. Now he's proving he isn't. He's bombing Putin's ally. That is a direct escalation. It's bad because it's an escalation with Russia, and it's bad because of the civilian casualties it'll cause. Oh, it'll cause a lot of civilian casualties. That's, Hillary actually admitted that back when Obama backed away from his red line when she was Secretary of State, or maybe just after she was Secretary of State. She said, yeah, no, it's a terrible idea. What are you going to, you're going to bomb Assad? This was back when she was defending Obama when he didn't want to do it and he backed away from it. She's like, look, that's going to cause a lot of civilian casualties if you decide to bomb their fighter jets. That's exactly what Trump just did. So there's going to be civilian casualties in Syria as a result of this, and you're going to turn it into the next Iraq. Who the fuck is he going to listen to? He's listening to the neocons and the deep state, man. First of all, he packed his administration with military-industrial complex people, so-called defense contractor people. We covered the story the other day. There's usually a little bit of a buffer, like, okay, you're going to have the military-industrial complex, but we'll put government people in those positions. Trump said, fuck the government people. Just bring in the people from the military-industrial complex to be in the government to craft policy. This will be, look, I'll just keep it real with you guys. It's been sleepless nights the past 4 or 5 nights because of what's happening with YouTube and how it's YouTube-pocalypse. And we learned today we were officially blacklisted. We were officially blacklisted, and we're making virtually no ad money on YouTube, which is crazy. It's just crazy. We beat CNN shows in the key demographic when it comes to views. 10 to 20 million views a month. How about you make nothing? Okay, pull the rug out from underneath us. That's one thing. This is way worse than anything personal and financial like that, man. This is... If you can't tell, I'm rattled by this, which is why I'm on a mini vacation and I'm recording on a love seat in poor lighting. So... pucker your goddamn buttholes, 'cause it's already bad, and it can get really, really, really worse.